Today we're making these teriyaki beef bowls. These are so colorful, they're delicious, completely packed with flavor, and they're great for spring. Hi, I'm Tara with Simply Made Eats and welcome to my channel. Today we're making these delicious teriyaki beef bowls. These are so colorful and I love them for spring and summer. They're super easy to make and they make a really great lunch, dinner, or you can prep them on Sunday for the week ahead. This makes about 4 beef bowls, which is great for a full family. And we're gonna get started by going ahead and marinating our steak. We're gonna be using skirt steak or flank steak in this recipe. Depending on how much meat you actually want on your bowls, I suggest using a 1 to 1.5 pound skirt steak or flank steak for this recipe. They're both really lean and we're gonna be slicing them nice and thin, which is my favorite. I've let this sit out for about 30 minutes before I'm even gonna marinate it, and then we're gonna leave the marinade on for about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much time you have. When you're working with skirt steak or flank steak, you want to cut it against the grain in order to get the most tender texture. We're also going to just cut this in half just so it's a little bit easier to work with. So we have all the muscle fibers running this way, which means we're going to actually cut it this way. So we're going to turn our steak 90 degrees, and my favorite way to cut it is like as thin as possible. So you want to use a really sharp knife on this and really like shave it. This just makes like the perfect meat. It also cooks in like just a couple minutes, which is awesome. And we're gonna be marinating it first. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna that marinade's gonna really soak into it and make it nice and salty. Once we get our meat nice and shaved, we are gonna just make a really simple marinade, and I mean super simple. We're gonna just pour in a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. We've got a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and just about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. We're not doing salt here because we have all that saltiness from the soy sauce. We don't need it. I like to just take some tongs and just really mix that mixture up. And we are gonna allow this to sit on the countertop for 30 minutes, no longer than 1.5 hours, because we don't want our meat to really start to break down from that soy sauce. As that's marinating, we're gonna go ahead and get some white rice started. I like jasmine or basmati rice for this recipe. I actually already made some last night, so I'm just heating mine back up. I would suggest 1 cup of dried rice. Make sure you rinse that really well, and then you need to mix it with 2 cups of water in your rice cooker, or you can make it on the stovetop, either way. That's gonna give you about 3 cups of cooked rice. As our rice is cooking and we've got our steak marinating, we're gonna go ahead and get all those toppings ready so that we're ready to go once our bowls are finished. So I've got some carrots. I like to use 2 carrots that I peel and cut into matchsticks. I'm also gonna be using some red bell pepper. I've got some sliced red onion. I like to slice these really nice and thin. And then I've got some green onion that I've sliced on a bias. I really like to chop these all different. I just think it makes it look like really fun in the bowls. You can also add jalapenos. You can do cilantro, fresh limes. Really, like, the sky is the limit. Anything you love on these bowls is perfect. I'm also gonna be adding some sesame seeds on top just to give it like a little pizzazz, but that's about it. If you're not crazy about the raw onion, bell peppers, and carrots, you could also do some steamed broccoli on the side or cooked bell peppers and onions. Either one of these would be really good, especially for dinner. The next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and get our teriyaki sauce ingredients ready. Our steak is gonna cook really quickly, so we don't wanna be like rushing, and sometimes like the ginger can take a little bit to grate. So we're gonna be chopping up 1 clove of garlic. You wanna mince this really nice and fine. We're gonna need a teaspoon of grated ginger. If you're not familiar with ginger, you need to peel off that outside layer. So if you're feeling lazy like I am a lot of times, you can just cut it off. But if you really wanna save some of it and not like waste a lot, just use a spoon to just peel off that outside layer. Then you wanna take a microplane or a cheese grater on the finest setting and go ahead and grate that ginger so you get a really nice fine texture. We're also gonna be using some hoisin sauce. We've got rice vinegar, honey, and soy sauce. It's officially time to get our skirt steak cooking. We're gonna heat a stainless steel skillet over medium heat, and we wanna layer that steak on the skillet. Use a large one if you have it. If you only have a small one, I definitely recommend doing 2 batches. You wanna cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side until it's no longer pink. Then once it's fully cooked, you're gonna transfer it to a plate with all the juices. Go ahead and add the skillet back to the stovetop over low heat. Then we're gonna make our teriyaki sauce with soy sauce, our grated ginger and garlic. Stir that in. Next, we're gonna add rice vinegar, We've got our hoisin sauce. And just stir this up. And lastly, we have our nice thick honey. This is gonna help it get really nice and thick. Give that a stir. And we're gonna turn this up to medium heat. When we're making our teriyaki sauce, it's really important to let it bubble for a little bit on medium heat. This is gonna give us the thickness we need. If you're having an issue getting it really thick, like you want it, like if you want it extra thick, you can just go ahead and whisk together a teaspoon of cornstarch with a tablespoon of water into a slurry and then add it into the mixture. This is gonna give you like a really thick sauce. However, make sure to not add the cornstarch directly into here. You need to make a slurry first because if not, you won't be able to dissolve those white chunks. As you can see, I didn't need cornstarch for mine. It just got really nice and thick on its own within a few minutes. Then we're gonna drop the heat to low and we wanna add all of our steak back in and give it a nice toss so it coats the meat really well and gets nice and sticky. Then it's time to make our beef bowls. Okay, so I always start with some rice on the side. I like to like cover half of my dish with that. I'm using these giant bowls today, which are a little bit crazy, but you know, I'm thinking it's dinner time, so you can definitely go a little bit less if it is lunch. But we're gonna go ahead and add our beef. It's really nice and saucy. This is pretty salty, so I like to just do the sauce on the beef. That way you can just mix it together and it doesn't get too overwhelming with salt. Next we've got some red bell pepper, our carrot slices, a nice helping of red onion, and I like to go green onion all over the place. Like I said, these bowls are pretty big, so it's kind of taking up a little bit more than I wanted it to, but that's pretty much it. And then we're just gonna top it with some sesame seeds. And those are all ready. Look how good that looks. These look so stinking good. I would say the biggest thing with this recipe is to make sure you slice that beef really nice and thin. It's gonna give you the best results. That's it, we're all done with these teriyaki beef bowls. I hope you guys love this recipe. Make sure to give it a like and make sure to subscribe for new recipes every single week. I absolutely love sharing them with you. Thanks so much for being here and I'll see you next time. Bye.